So we provide support to people who run Mātaitau Taipuri by providing information, scientific information. And I'll just sort of quickly run through some work that students do. We do work on Paua fisheries and reseeding, putting small Paua into replacing old ones that have been taken and restoring the fishery. Also stuff about wee Paua, when Paua is small, I don't know if you know, they live underneath rocks and boulder fields and stuff like that, and we work on what they compete with, what eats them and all that sort of stuff. We also work on finfish, swimming fish, and work on their populations and where they live, what areas are important for them, habitats. We work on invasive species that have come in ships and stuff like that. We also work on seaweeds, climate change and ocean acidification, and also some of the habitat change due to sedimentation, how that affects the sea. So you guys know Derek Richards. We had these red hats we all used to wear, but we sort of lost them over the years. He worked on the ecology and physiology of macroalgae in the East Otago Taipori. It sounds pretty boring, and he's not here, but it probably is. So he looked at productivity, how much these things grow, how much food they provide to other levels, and also on this invasive seaweed here, Undaria, which as you can see here, so that's the Japanese seaweed that's come in, and down our way it's sort of changing the habitats. We put these cages in, and they had these little guys, and we saw whether they grew better by themselves or with other species. And what he found was that Paua actually grow more quickly with other species than with themselves, so that means they compete more within the species than between species, so that's kind of interesting. And Rob Wynn, who's currently writing up his masters, you can see us there with a net, we're trying to catch wee little fish like whitebait. It didn't work. A lot of things we do don't work. It's a lot of trial and error and stuff like that, so we're doing new things. So he's working on identifying what habitats are sort of critical within the East Otago Taipori for fish to survive. Paua tagging, we might be able to have a bit of a go at this. I've got a few shells and stuff. I don't know if we'll be able to get any Paua for you, but we glue on these wee plastic tags with super glue, numbers on them, we measure them, we weigh them, then we put them back in a particular place. We come back a year later or 6 months later and we see where they've moved, and we also see how much they've grown, how many have died, stuff like that. And this stuff's real key information for people who are trying to manage their fisheries. I don't know, quite a few of you guys were saying Paua here are quite small. Are they small because people take too many, or are they small because they just don't grow very much? So as soon as you've got this information, you know they only grow to this size, so if we're going to ever take these fish, then we probably need to take them a wee bit smaller. So it supports fisheries measures to look after the fishery better, but also to give reasons behind changing size limits and stuff like that. There's a lot of it's trying to explain to people, like other people in the community, that you're doing the right thing, but you're not just doing it because you want to have more fish, or you're trying to pull one over on them. You're doing it for the right thing, and this information sort of helps support what you're doing. Just a quick example, we did some baseline survey work, and we were sort of guided by Tangatiaki Kaumātua from up there, who wanted the fishery to be like it used to be, where they used to be able to go down and just walk down and pick Paua off the shore without getting their feet wet. So their vision is one day that the fishery will once more be like that. And they want, so they're going to have rules that help bring back the fishery that they want. So we're trying to help provide them with ammunition to get what they want, really. So what we did, using methods that you guys sort of use today in an average sort of way, we do exactly the same thing. We've got a quadrat there, that's what a quadrat looks like, seeing as we're using sticks. That's the 1 metre squared one. We just did exactly the same. We put a transect line out, a rope with marks on it. I don't know, some of you might have used the rope with the marks on it. We use those. And we just put these quadrats along randomly. We get the Paua, we measure all of them. So it can be quite a job. Sometimes you'll find none, other times you might find 30. And so what this here shows you here is, it's called a size frequency diagram. I don't know if you've seen it before. This is the length of the Paua, and this is the number that we saw. So right at the top you can see for the entire East Otago Taipori, there was an average size of about 100 millimetres. Meta Inaka is a place with quite big Paua, but not very many. Huriawa has quite a few Paua, but they're quite small. Puketeraki has not very many small Paua, but quite a few big ones. So generally the sites that have a lot of big Paua, there's not many. Sites that have a lot, they're quite small. But some of these areas are protected by farms, so there's quite a lot of big Paua there, so that's just protected. So other areas have none, and Bryn's Point here, there's been quite a lot of poaching happening. So you can see, if we were going to do a fisheries sort of model based on the entire area, we'd think that the fishery looks okay. But really, some sites are being depleted, you know. So for species like Paua, you need to have specific information for specific areas, like your bay, you need to know for your bay. It doesn't really matter if the fishery's looking good in the whole of New Zealand, right? If there's heaps of Paua in the whole of New Zealand, if your bay has nothing in it, you know what I mean? So the Ministry of Fisheries is managing things in that way. Like the Paua fishery looks fine. I hope none of you are paid by the Ministry of Fisheries or your parents work for them. They're okay, but there's some things that need to be changed. Yeah, so it doesn't matter if the whole New Zealand Paua fishery is okay. If your bay's stuffed, then you can't get Paua. So this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide reef by reef management for local people. So they know that reef, Paua grow this quickly. You know, there's this many. We can either fish them, or we should close it, or we should change the bag limits or whatever. So that's what we're trying to do. So these surveys supported submission of regulations. So there are bag limit reductions of Paua from 10 to 5. 10's a lot of Paua, particularly when they're big. And also we've got a temporary closure for Huriawa Peninsula, and we're going to be looking at, we're still waiting for the MFish to actually implement these rules. They're very slow. So in the end we got sick of it, so we put our own signs up around to suggest to people that they shouldn't be taking Paua and putting the bag limit. So you can take 30 fish down our way, being reduced to 10. 30 is a lot of fish and probably too many. So science has a key role to play in these customary management areas. Traditional methods are supported by science, so leaving the breeding stock, leaving the big ones, reef by reef management as I said, and also returning to traditional harvesting methods, so rahui, closing things and reopening them is a really good way to manage a fishery from the information you get from science. And also local communities, as I said, are most familiar with these issues. So just with you guys, I'll just perhaps a few things. I think you guys have the opportunity to lead your community in management of fisheries. And you can also, if you're not interested in that, you can also, if you come to university, you can push back the boundaries of knowledge. You can do whatever you want. You can do pure science or whatever. The work we do, we don't know very much. Not many people have done a lot of underwater work in New Zealand, or even coastal sort of marine stuff. So there's heaps to do. There's heaps of projects and stuff. And what I'd say is prepare now and talk to people who know, like people you know in your community. Get in the water, have a look around, and think about things. And also, I think it's something Davina said about people can do science at all sorts of different levels. There's no reason why you need to necessarily get a PhD and stuff like that. You can operate at a community level if you think that's where you're going to be most effective and where you enjoy things. So, yeah, thanks for listening so well. I know it's a bit to take in, and that's what university's like.